Now, there has been a pressing issue which India is facing. In fact, it is one of the biggest economic issues that India is facing, and that is of unemployment. Very peculiar in nature, this unemployment is actually accompanied with growth. Okay, so see, what happens is when there is a slowdown in the economy, slowdown in the growth, then unemployment would happen. So that would be in fact the worst situation. But India is seeing a peculiar condition wherein growth is there, but at the same time unemployment is there, and that is actually known as the jobless growth. This is the situation in India. So in this lecture, we are of course going to see what is unemployment, why it is there, what are the reasons, what are its impacts, and at the same time try to find out solution for it. And we will be, certain solutions would be specific with respect to the issue of the jobless growth which India is facing. So let's get started. So first things first, what is the present status? So presently there is of course high employment rate in India, and we'll see what the status of that is. So if we start almost 1.5 decade back, the percentage of unemployment was 2%, which increased to 5%. Now this looks like just a 3% increase, but please understand the significance of this. The significance of this is that it is more than double. It is 2.5 times than what it was in 2010 in just a span of 5 years. Okay, so from 2 to 5% it has increased, but it has increased by 150%. That is huge, right? And presently, very recently, it has almost now doubled and has reached 9.2% in June 2024. This is according to the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, right? So these are some scary numbers. Now, another problem which there is, you might have heard a lot of times with respect to engineers also, that these many percentage of engineers are unemployable. So when you look at the general graduate number, you will see over 42% of India's graduates which are under 25 were unemployed. Now the reason is twofold. One, the job is not there. Second, the sector says that they are not employable. So there are two sides to it. One, the job is not there. Second, the job is there, but they are not employable. So that is another issue. So you cannot keep on creating engineers or graduates who are not employable and then cry that there is no job. Of course, there are issues of no jobs, but at the same time, there are issues of employability as well. Right. Now, as I said about the jobless growth, despite a rise in GDP growth during 2000, employment growth rate has remained unresponsive, which is the phenomena of your jobless growth. Now, what are the types of employment that the people have? So in economy, when you would be studying static portion of economy, of course, we have dealt with different kinds of unemployment. But here we are looking at the different types of employment. Even this is dealt with, but unemployment you would come across a lot of time, but also you should know what are the types of employment. Generally, there can be two basic types. One, in which you are earning a salary. Second, in which there is no salary, there is rather a profit which you are earning. So you are self-employed, have a business. So either salaried or self-employed would be the general bifurcation. Let's look at it in detail. So under types of employment, the first one is the wage employment. So wage employment can be regular wage jobs or casual or daily labors. Now, what is a regular wage job? A monthly salaried employee, or the frequency can be anything, but regular because this would be in the formal sector and having structured position. The job would have a permanent nature. You would have security of job. Generally, this would be in the organized sector, or you can call it as the formal sector. Now, the other type is casual or daily wage, which will give you daily wages every day. But you may have a job today, not tomorrow, then again you may have a job today. So there is no security of tenure, there is no fixation or fixed nature or permanency of the job. This would generally be in your informal sector, or you can say the unorganized sector, right? Now let's talk about self-employment. When it comes to self-employment, it can be entrepreneurship, which would of course lead to business, right? Now individuals, group of individuals can be engaged in entrepreneurial activities, running small businesses. Startups is there, a lot of startups, shops, local services, or any other thing wherein they are basically the owners. Then, if very interestingly, of course, if you look at it, even farming is basically what? It is an entrepreneurship. So farmers are also included. Agriculture serves as a significant source of self-employment. Yes, we may not look at it in that way, but this is also entrepreneurship. Okay? Then we have also included freelancing and informal work, which is the part of the gig economy, freelancing content writers. So these are also sort of self-employed. These people will have to keep on looking for job after job after job, because the projects which they will get would be temporary in nature. These are gigs, these are short-term projects, right? Let's say if you're a content writer, so you have been given a contract of writing content of a particular website. When that website is done, you need to find out new people to write, and at a single time you can do multiple projects as well. Okay, now comes the important question: why economic growth and job creation mismatch, or job creating mismatch? Why is it so happening that there is economic growth, but at the same time the jobs are not getting created? If economy is growing at this level, jobs should be created at this level, but it is less. So why is there this mismatch or a gap? So first things first, high skill, low employment sectors, very important. Now with the help of this, I'm going to tell you about the three sectors of the economy. In economy, you have the primary sector, you have the secondary sector, and you have the tertiary sector. Now, these are the three main sectors. There are quaternary and quinary also, but these are the three main sectors. Now, in primary sector, examples are agriculture, mining. These are the sector where you exploit or extract the natural resources. Secondary sector is the sector where you process or work upon or add value to the resources that you have extracted in the primary sector. And then tertiary sector is basically the service sector. Now, please understand the characteristic of these three sectors. In these three sectors, what happens is, if you, let's say, put X amount in primary sector, it would lead to a particular Y amount of growth rate and a Z amount of job creation. In secondary sector, when you spend X amount, it will lead to A amount of growth rate and B amount of job creation. When you do the same in the tertiary sector, same amount you are investing, remember amount is same, that is X, you will lead to M amount of growth rate and N amount of job creation. So this is growth rate and this is jobs. These are jobs that are created. Okay. Now let us understand the relationship which will occur. Now the amount of investment in each sector is the same, right? This of course is the growth rate, and these are the jobs that are being created. So we will see in different sectors what is the relation between the growth rate and the jobs that are created by investing the same amount. So what happens generally is, in primary sector, when you invest the same amount, the growth rate may be slow, but the number of jobs that are created is high. So this is high, this is low. When it comes to the secondary sector, the growth rate would be medium and the job growth would also be medium. Now when it comes to the tertiary sector, the growth rate would be high, but the job creation would be low. Now why is this happening? That is because in the service sector, you generally have high skilled jobs which pays you more, but the number of jobs would be lesser. That is why in tertiary sector, for tertiary sector, the GDP percentage in the entire GDP of the the percentage of tertiary sector GDP is very high, even though the number of people or the percentage of people working in the tertiary sector is low. Now, in primary sector, what happens? A lot of jobs would be created even though there is no much growth. That is why when it comes to GDP, the percentage of agricultural GDP in the total is less, but the percentage of people working is very high. And the secondary sector is at the medium level of job creation with medium level of growth. So what will happen if the service sector keeps developing? It's good, it should keep developing. We should not hamper its growth. So what will happen? The growth rate would be high, but the number of jobs that are created are less. So what will happen is you will see the growth, but the jobs will not be there, and hence the jobless growth. Second is premature deindustrialization. Now India, see what happens generally is first the primary sector develops, then the secondary, and then the tertiary. That has been the usual case, except for certain exceptions of the South Asian countries, including a big exception of India. In India, what happened? The agriculture grew, then we wanted industries to grow, the industrial sector, that is the secondary sector. But before we could do that, tertiary sector also came in and we started focusing on that, and we still have a very immature industrial sector, and rather there has been at times slight decline as well. So that is why premature deindustrialization, right? It is still immature, as a result of which not much jobs could be created there. Then of course there is a skill mismatch. The people have X skill, the economy wants Y skill, so there is a mismatch, right? Of course, we think what we should study, what we should do depending upon the requirement, but that's not always the case. We may not be able to do that because of XYZ reason. We may get some other skills whose demand may not be there in the economy, and that is where the skill mismatch comes in. Then informal sector dominance. More than 90% of the sector, all the sectors, more than 90%, it's informal. What happens because if it is informal? If it is informal, there is no fixed tenure, there is no permanent nature of your job. You may have a job today, not tomorrow, earning today, not tomorrow, right? Then global economic trends. If the global economy is in slowdown, the job market would slow down. The other economy will become protectionist and would not allow you to work for them because their people themselves are not getting jobs. Then academia industry mismatch. Academia industry mismatch meaning the courses which are on offer, when you go into the market for looking jobs on the basis of that courses, it may not be there. So that is academia industry mismatch. Plus academia, there's a criticism that academia is not preparing you well for the jobs that are present. That is one thing. As I said, many graduates are not employable, so that is the issue. Missing middle in MSMEs. What is MSMEs? Micro, small and medium enterprises. Now there is a huge amount of micro enterprises and there is considerable value from the huge enterprises, but the medium enterprises are missing, which would have created a huge number of jobs. So the focus can be on this as well. Then regional disparities, especially rural-urban disparity or disparity within the rural region only among different villages or the urban region only among different cities, right? Then of course the demographic challenge. What is the demographic challenge? See, the present average age of India is around 33 to 34 years. Now, this is a very good age, very young age. India is a very young country, so we should utilize the working age population. But why we cannot utilize? Because skill sets are not there. When, see, you have a good population, working age population, young population, but you have population. What you want is human capital. And what is human capital? When population is given skills, is given education, is given good health, then the population gets converted into human capital, else it will not, and hence we will not be able to utilize the demographic dividend, right? Now, when unemployment is there, there are a lot of social impacts also of unemployment. So let us see what all social impacts can be there. Marginalization of the people, of course, no employment, no money, people get marginalized, do not get the services, facilities, education, health, etc. It's difficult to even provide for the basic needs. Social unrest would be there, and migration, especially you will see the rural to urban migration, rural youth, especially the youth getting migrated to urban areas. Now what's the problem? In villages, in rural areas, youth is not there, so there are certain different issues there. Now all these youth are there in the urban cities. Now that is giving rise to slums, that and when they go in urban area, need not necessarily they will find the jobs, right? So all those issues are there. Then impact on education. Now when you don't have job, you don't have money, you cannot get your children and other people in the family educated, and because they would also be then going for earning, and they the number of children also in such family, even if it is more, they are utilized as child labor to earn money for the family. So education and skill will not develop. Education and skill can get you out of poverty permanently. Just hand to mouth feeding every day by child labor and daily wage labor is not going to get you out of poverty. Disproportionate impact on social groups. Disproportionate impact, the social unrest and social group, these are related concepts. What will happen is, and in fact increased crime rate is also related to it. Social unrest is there, that will lead to increased crime, robberies, chain snatching, this, that. You don't have money, what to do? Take deviant path, take the path which is not legal, illegal path, and hence the increase in the crime rate as well. Now, issues we know. What are the solution or measures to address unemployment? First things first, we need better infrastructure, both physical and human, to create more jobs. So better infrastructure is anyhow needed. As I said, to convert population into human capital, you need to give them skill and education and proper health. Now, if you invest in this, you will again automatically create more jobs. And when you create more jobs, you are improving employment, at the same time converting people to human capital, and hence more and more job cycle will start. There has to be a convergence in the path of what? Urbanization and industrialization for job creation. Convergence, and see, it should not be uneven growth. It should not be only one particular kind of cities are developing and tier 2, tier 3 cities are left like that. Then there will be migration from there to tier 1 cities also. So there needs to be even growth. Tier 2 cities should be focused, right? Because they have lesser population, there is more scope of development, right? Or else if tier 1 cities are focused, then there will be high population density and it will create further issues. We need to now level up the growth among tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, and even reduce the rural urban divide. National employment policy. So it should implement a focused policy considering both demand and supply sides. We have skill mismatch in demand and supply, so your employment should be focused on what do we need, so that you can start supplying that. So it will enhance the workforce quality, it will enhance the workforce which is needed in the market. Then there is a concept of urban Manrega that can be thought of. See, Manrega is only for rural areas, right? But unemployment is high in urban areas also. So there is a thought which can be given for urban Manrega. Then industrialization and agriculture investment. It's very simple. I explained how investment in industrialization and agriculture is going to create more jobs as compared to the similar investment done in service sector. Investment in service sector is also required for growth, but here also investment is required. Further diversification of agriculture to ensure that the income is more. Just because you are having a self-employable employment job like agriculture, which is also an entrepreneurship, doesn't mean that you will still be having food on your table. What if the production is not good? So here also you have to focus on diversification of agriculture and promoting agro-processing. Agro-processing as in whatever produce is coming out of agriculture needs to be processed so that more value can be given to the farmer, because this produce will be processed and will be sold at a higher rate. Hence initial payment to the farmer will also be more. Then expand education and healthcare, very important. Why? Because everything else which we are seeing is solving, a lot of them are solving issues temporarily, but expansion of education and healthcare and skill development, include skill development here, can solve the problem permanently. Because then you can go into the high skilled labor, high skilled job, formal sector, etc., etc., and the demographic dividend can be realized. Reform in education and provide vocational training. So now people get graduated, post-graduated, but still not have a job. So can we rather focus on vocational training, developing certain skills which can make them employable? So this is something which could be thought of. And also, when I said there is an issue of unemployability, what could be done is there could be apprenticeship which can be started, which the government has actually already started. Apprenticeship means that in the final year, the college student starts working as an intern in industries, in companies, so that they know how the job is done, and before actually starting the job, they already know about it. It will benefit the company, it will benefit the education, it will benefit the student, and it will make them more employable also, hence reducing the unemployment rate. So these are the solutions to India's big unemployment problem.